Humans have been walking and running without shoes for millions of years, but there has been a recent surge of interest in barefoot running among runners, the media, and the sports medicine community. There are runners that believe that everyone should run without shoes because it is more natural for our bodies. However, there are also runners that believe that running barefoot damages our body more than benefits it. The modern running shoe was only created during the 1970s. The primary function of the shoes is to protect the foot against shocks occurring when the heel hits the ground. Running with shoes is supposed to have different advantages like rear foot control, cushioning, shock distribution, and heel stabilization. Barefoot running can be seen as a running condition in which external protection and shock reduction is minimal. Running barefoot is also believed by many coaches to improve the strength of the overall muscle system and train the intrinsic and extrinsic foot muscles. When looking at the mechanics for running, we typically look at the lower body. This includes the feet, ankles, lower legs, knees, upper legs, and hips. The feet and ankles contain more than 100 muscles. The foot is made up of the toes, forefoot, midfoot, and hindfoot. During running, the feet pronate and supinate to help with absorption of impact during foot strike. The ankles dorsiflex and plantar flex when the foot strikes the ground to push our back leg forward. The lower leg consists of the calf and shin muscles. These muscles help our ankles to dorsiflex and plantar flex while we are running. The knee is a hinge joint that is made up of 3 bones, the patella, femur, and tibia. This joint is very important when looking at flexion and extension when a person is running. The upper leg consists of the quadricep and hamstring muscles. These muscles are important when it comes to flexion and extension of the knee and hip during running. When we analyze running form, we look at the gait cycle. The gait cycle is made up of 2 phases, the stance and swing phase. The stance phase is when part of one foot is touching the ground. There are 3 stages to this phase: initial contact, mid-stance, and takeoff. Initial contact or foot strike is when the foot lands on the ground. Mid-stance is when the foot on the ground is supporting the weight of the body. During this stage, the other foot is in the swing phase. Takeoff is when the heel comes off the ground and the toes push you forward. The swing phase is when that same foot is not on the ground. The swing phase starts right after takeoff. The first stage of swing phase is initial swing, which is from takeoff to the top of the back kick. The second stage is mid-swing, which is when the back leg is moving forward past mid-stance to become the lead leg. The final stage is terminal swing, which is when the now lead leg is moving towards the ground for initial contact. All of these mechanical factors of running were examined through the following procedure. A more detailed version of the procedures for this study are included in the paper portion of the project. Students were asked to run for 2 minutes at their steady state, with and without shoes on. Steady state is an unchanging physical process that remains the same even with change. The students were video recorded from a variety of angles to help show different angles of joints and landings of both sides of the body. This video footage was then analyzed using the software Canova. Canova is a software that allows you to use measurements, angles, and time to analyze video footage of activities such as throwing a baseball, lifting weights, or running. After all video clips were collected of the participants, the angles of the ankles and knees for the landing, mid-stance, and takeoff for both feet were calculated. Then all 8 values for each angle were averaged to help determine if there was a difference in angles between running barefoot or in shoes. Analyzing these averages showed us that there was no significant difference in angles between shoe and barefoot running. The greatest difference was for the left knee during takeoff, which was only a 4-degree difference. The smallest difference was for the left ankle during landing, which was a 0-degree difference. Along with measuring the angles, the images of each participant's barefoot and shoe running were compared side by side for each phase of the stride. The main difference that could potentially be found when comparing the pictures was a difference in stride length. This was determined by observing the knee angles in the pictures. Another possible difference is that one foot might be quicker than the other at moving through the swing phase. This was determined by looking at the back knee angle as well. When comparing data tables, a few more differences can be identified. There could be an exaggerated heel strike when wearing or not wearing shoes. This would be seen as difference in the angle of the knee during the landing stage. Also, when the person is barefoot, the muscles in the foot and leg have to work harder to stabilize the body during the mid-stance phase. With these results, there might have also been a few errors that may have occurred. When capturing images to analyze using the software, some of the images were blurry. This could skew the angle measurements. Location of the treadmills was also a big issue. There were other machines near the treadmill that would get in the way. Treadmills would not be working, and there was not enough space around the treadmill to record the participant running completely. This could skew the measurements of the angles and interfere with location of the segments of the angles. Past or present injuries that the participants had or have could also play a part in affecting the data collected. Depending on what muscles or body parts the injury affected, different stages of the gait cycle are also affected. Overall, there was not a significant difference between running barefoot and running with shoes on. Running with shoes on helps support your foot and eases the impact of landing on the foot and leg. Running barefoot helps strengthen the muscles within the foot and ankle. With all these benefits that come from both ways of running, runners should utilize both ways to help improve their form.